I can see it.
With a wonky 6-casting cost enchantment. Do it. Let's see what matches we have this round.
We have Korey Fay again with the blue-white deck. We had featured him earlier. Versus Brian Boss. So
this is a neat little deck.
Brian Boss is a Kansas City area guy. Isn't really well known, but top 16. He ended up he put up a decent finish or two in the Pro Tour circuit 2 years back. Kind of fell off, but he's been grinding opens, doing well. Usually, been playing a lot of green-white decks, but I guess we have another one here. But this is kind of similar to, looks kind of like Kenny Mayer's deck.
It's similar. The main difference between this deck, Kenny Mayer's deck was this junk deck that had the Dark Depths Vampire Hexmage combo, and the big difference here is Brian Boss has Living Wish
and
Tarmogoyf, where Kenny didn't. So Living Wish can get either half of the combo. Can you Hexmage or Dark Depths, which is a pretty big deal.
He has it's a pretty wide selection for this Living Wish.
Yeah. It takes up most of his sideboard, in fact.
Yeah, he's got 4 Inquisitions, 2 Extirpates, and a ton of singletons to tutor for.
Yeah, Bajuka Bog, Wasteland, Dark Depths, Tarmogoyf, Hexmage, Shriekmaw, Kataki, Pride Mage, Gaddock Teeg. The rest of the cards in his sideboard are just Inquisition of Kozilek, which is 4 of, and 2 Extirpates.
It also looks like his main deck's a little less toolboxy than Kenny's. Kenny, had all these 1-ofs, had this Entomb to tutor for everything, but Brian only has 1 Dark Depths even, a little less combo based, a little more beatdown based.
Yeah, I mean,
Still has the 4 main deck mental missteps though.
Yeah, the mental missteps is really interesting. I mean, you have to counter the Swords of Plowshares, I think. I think that card is just too important. Swords of Path on your 2020.
Or the Knight of the Reliquary even. Looking to Korey Fay's deck, we featured him earlier. He's blue-white Stoneforge control again, 4 Stoneforge, 2 Vanillions, Jaces. He has Standstills, not Ancestral Visions.
Right.
Couple Spell Snares, only 3 Force of Wills. He got Sword of Body Mind and Battersoul as his tutor package. Counterspell. Out of the board, he's got him Enrique Gusari, Elspeth, Wrath of Gods, the last Force, Vanillion Click, Sword, Fire and Ice, and some Path to Exiles, Pithy Needles, and Misdirections. This should be an interesting match, junk versus blue-white control. So
yeah, so the interesting thing about here, I was talking to Kenny Mayer about his take on this deck, the green-white-black deck, and his version is a little different, like we said. It's got some different choices, doesn't have the Living Wish. He said that the problem with Living Wish he had is that it just takes up way too many sideboard slots. And in Legacy, when you have, so many archetypes you have to face, this Living Wish is taking up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sideboard slots in Brian Boss's sideboard.
9
sideboard slots in Brian Boss. Counting. We're good at it.
Yeah.
So it takes up 9 sideboard slots in Kenny Mayer's, or in Brian Boss's sideboard. So that only leaves him with 6 slots to do other things with.
To be fair, though, in the current metagame, you don't really need these sideboard slots quite as much as you used to. A little bit more blue decks, a little bit less, random combo decks. So on the left, we have Brian Boss, and on the right is Korey Fay. Korey Fay is actually fresh off a top 4. He is the Jun player we were talking about earlier.
Right, and he switched sides from Jun to pledge to the Jace and Stoneforge Allegiance of America, and he's playing the blue-white deck that we've seen time and time again now. He's got a
full
Crucible
swap,
Worlds.
green, black, red, now blue, white.
Yeah, showing that he can run with anything. Brian Boss, on the other hand, of course, playing the black, green, white, Dark Depths junk deck we were just talking about.
Let's see, Brian Boss on turn 1 fetches up. Looks like a Bayou he's looking at.
Yeah, also seems like he's looking at Bayou.
Yeah.
And there's Bayou. And so we think we're going to see a Thoughtseize here? Oh no, Mox Diamond. We're
going to see a real start here.
Heading into 2-drop territory. Discards Caracas.
Vampire
Hexmage. Could he have it? Turn 2. We saw Kenny Mayer today make a turn 2.
He did in fact do it on turn 2. Brian Boss only has 1, but he also has these Living Wishes.
Right, and so for 2 mana, he actually has access to more than Kenny, because he has 5 basically.
Yeah. Brian Boss also does not have him to throw on. That's an interesting
call.
Wow.
That's really interesting to me, because him is such a beating in this kind of deck.
It is. I think that Brian Boss is probably just playing this Hexmage on his way up to a Knight. Just get a body into play. It's going to beat a Jace, the Mind Sculptor from Korey. Apparently, Brian's just been wrecking people with Hexmage all day, doing all sorts of random things.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I haven't heard the full story yet, but I'm sure at some point it'll be told.
Sure. What are some of the random things you've heard as rumors?
I mean, I can only imagine, very simple things like people not knowing about First Strike, people not knowing anything about what the card does. killing, aside from just killing Jaces, maybe like some Ravagers I can see happening.
Targeted art, whatever, dude. Like, it happens. People need to start
Aether
running
vials in response to the activation.
Yeah, we're talking about the in response to activation, and nothing happens.
Yep.
Kind of like how when you could proliferate up Aether vial, and make sure nothing happened.
I don't think I ever saw that happen, but
we were talking about it the other day.
I think we talked about it building like a blue something Tezzeret deck. So, yep, Brian does play that Knight of the Reliquary and just beats down with his Hex Mage. Korey fetching with the Zared Mesa for a Tundra.
Yeah. So, Korey phase board, Tundra, to Brian Boss's much larger board of Mox Diamond, 2 lands, Knight of the Reliquary, Vampire Hex Mage. Korey Faye casts Brainstorm.
I really hope this is not end step.
I mean, so, yeah, Vampire Hex Mage is interesting. I think people need to start running Urborgs to deal with the first strike on that guy. That's going to be such a problem.
Maybe someday they'll change the legend rule so it kills the Urborg at 2 Yawgmoths too.
How sick is it to have Urborg and Urborg Tuma Yawgmoth in play at the same time? That's got to be some kind of a ward, right?
Yeah. Also takes the Swamp Walk off of like a Shieldred.
Yeah, I mean, you never know when you got to get rid of Swamp Walk. They're like Sewer Drag.
That's the only Swamp Walk creature I've seen in Legacy lately, Shieldred. I don't think that you're really going to care about Swamp Walk on that guy. He's probably just going to kill you regardless.
Fair enough. Yeah, Shieldred is a beating. All right, so Korey Faye puts 2 cards back with that Brainstorm. And then untaps. So it was the end step Brainstorm. AJ Soccer would not approve of that play.
I do not approve of that play. It's...
AJ Soccer, if you go and watch AJ TV this week, AJ had a great episode on how to cast Brainstorm optimally.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said is, brainstorming end step doesn't really get you ahead at all unless you really want to have 2 lands in your turn. Now, if Korey was trying to dig for a Stoneforge Mystic or something, maybe that's a little more defensible. But even then, it's kind of a rough brainstorm.
Yeah, I really don't feel like that's the right play.
Brian does Wasteland down Tundra.
Korey floats a mana, and then Brian moves to his combat step. Looks like Corey's going to brainstorm again.
So brainstorm, and this time he's got the fetch land.
Yeah, but he's now brainstorming back through cards that he's already seen.
So let's see. That card, couldn't quite catch out what it was. And that card, couldn't quite catch what that one was either. So, alright, that's that, puts those down.
Crashes in with just the Hex Mage.
Hex Mage drops Korey to 15.
This Knight of the Reliquary is threatening a 2020.
Wow, yeah, he just sacrifice the land, get a Dark Depths. What are you going to do about it, Korey Faye? Is he going to make it in response now? No, probably not.
No, he's just leaving up this Knight. Korey can no longer fetch non-basic. He's going to get Wasteland if that happens. So he's going to mess up Korey's fetch. Korey has to think on his turn that he can't actually play a Stoneforge Mystic, even if he has it. He just dies.
Yeah, you can't.
Maybe he just doesn't think about this, but, it just puts him in an awkward scenario.
Korey,
and at the very least, I think that Knight is going to end up fetching a Mazavith so that it can crash in and then untap after attacking.
And then,
threaten Dark Depths if Korey ever taps out.
Yeah, for those who don't know how that works, there's the end of combat step. Your Knight of the Reliquary is still technically attacking. So you can attack, deal damage, and then untap your Knight with Mazavith.
Yeah, this looks like Brian Boss has everything set up for what he's trying to do with these guys. Korey can definitely get back in. He definitely has enough Swords of Plowshares in his deck, but he's going to need to do some work, a little bit of legwork to get there. Especially because as of now, he cannot tap out for Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Right. Yeah, so Korey leaves with 2 mana, and Brian Boss is going to Knight of the Reliquary.
Yep.
And what are we going to find here? Mazavith? Do you think you go for it, or you just want to get some other land? Fetch land, make your Knight bigger?
Yeah, that looks like a Dark Depths. He's just going for
he's just going for it.
Yeah, why not?
He's like, do you have it?
I mean, if he does have it, that's the Swords that the Knight no longer has to deal with.
It's true. And then Swords gets crashing for a month. All right, get a 2020. Show me what you got.
That looks like a Bayou still in play.
And that's it. Brian A had a combination of knowing that the Knight was going to be big, and B just kind of had to read like, whatever, you got it, right? And plus the thing is, you do gain 20 life if it's Swords, which is kind of sweet.
Not too relevant against this Stoneforge deck.
Not in this deck. But if it's like a zoo deck versus a Dark Depths deck, it make a big difference. Like 20 life, that's 4 or 5 turns.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't have Night.
That was a big issue. That was a big issue. I remember. I think Ben Lundquist mentioned that.
Yeah, that was actually who talked about it. Who I was referencing. Ben Lundquist when he wrote a Dark Depths primer for StarCityGames.com.
Yeah, he did in fact do that.
And he was like, he basically said that people say, oh, well, you just get swords all the time, and he said that, well, sure, I'll gain 20 life.
Sure, they paid a card and a mana. I paid 2 mana, 2 cards, and gained 20.
Yeah, seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I would pay 1 mana, a card, and a land drop for 20 life, right? Wouldn't you?
Depends on the matchup.
Most of them.
I guess Hive Mind. I'll pass.
Yeah, sure.
In control, mirrors might not be necessary.
No.
Definitely sometimes.
Yeah.
It's any beatdown deck? Yes, please.
Oh, yeah.
It's mono red? Yes, please. So the players going into their sideboards here. Once again, most notably, Brian Boss does not have a lot of cards to sideboard in. But the card he does have to sideboard in, Inquisition of Kozilek.
Yeah, that card's going to be awesome here.
That's exactly what he's looking for. Although I'm still kind of surprised that he doesn't have Hymn to Turok anywhere.
I mean, I guess he maybe thinks he doesn't need it.
Is the mana too rough, maybe?
Yeah, that might be the problem. Black's, like this deck has a lot more Tarmogoyf, kind of, and Living Wish kind of pushed the deck away from being, Kenny's deck was basically mono black, maybe a bit of green, barely splashing white. This deck's a bit heavier on the green and might need to fetch lands that are not just swamps, and it also only has 1 Urborg Tomb available.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine not playing him if your deck can support it. So I think if you're a rock kind of deck, so I imagine it's probably just a mana issue if you just don't get BB often enough.
Actually, looking at his spells, I don't actually know what he wants to cut. Like, does he not want Tarmogoyf? No. He wants Living Wish. He wants Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is better than him if you're your combo deck for sure. Mental Misstep you want because protecting your Knight, protecting your everything.
Is Misstep better than Hymn to Turok?
Maybe if you're protecting Dark Depths. It's very defensible that he does not have it. The only card in his deck that might fulfill the same purpose is Life from the Loam, and that's a bit more of a. Life from the Loam might not be the best. Oh, he has Horizon Canopies. Ooh.
Canopy is pretty neat here.
Yeah.
The other cool thing you can do with Wish sideboards, I think a lot of people overlook, is, and we can take a look at this with Brian's deck, is sometimes you just bring in your 1-ups. You're like, well, I'm never going to wish for it in this matchup.
Yeah,
so I just want my Forced Wasteland or something like that.
Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, Fourth Tarmogoyf. So, it's possible that he's going to bring in some of these. I don't know exactly
which this
ones.
Shriek Maw. Don't really want to wish for the Shriek Maw in this matchup. Not enough time to do that. Gonna have to wish for combo pieces, but, Shriek Maw drawing would be nice.
Yeah, so, I mean, not that I think you'd bring Shriek Maw in this matchup specifically,
for sure.
but in some matchups it is that way. So that's kind of interesting. On the flip side, Korey Fey, I think we see the Elspeth come in. Maybe the 4th Force of Will. Yeah, he only has 3 forces main deck, 1 side.
This is kind of awkward because the junk half of Brian's deck really is punishing Force Will, while the other half is not so much.
Do you think Korey will bring in Misdirection? I'm sure he thinks that he's got to have him, right?
It's very possible that he's going to get trapped into doing that. Elspeth is. I don't actually know. It's so awkward boarding against this half and half combo deck.
Yeah, the 4-Path Exile, that's the one thing I can guarantee you're going to come in. He beats the combo, also just good against, Knight of Reliquaries and such.
Right.
Maybe Wrath, depending on what you feel like. Pithy Needle is another card. Like, it's okay, you can name Knight, you can name Hexmage, but it doesn't do anything against if they're being out of the Tarmogoyf. So.
Right. I mean, even if you name Knight, it's still a giant creature usually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, mainly I think it's, you just use it to shut off the combo. But, is that worth it? Are you spending a card to do that? Is that really what you want?
Yeah. I mean, even then, Brian Boss's deck only has 1 Dark Depths. Like, it's not... Hexmage is still going to beat down for 2 every time.
Take 2.
Yeah.
Play a Jace, kill your Jace. We already saw a Vampire Hexmage play second in one of the events today. 4 copies in the Vampires deck. We got second. A little unusual. Korey Fey leads on a Misty Rainforest.
Clipboard raised very high in the air. Chris Anders.
All right. So, Korey Fey has Mr. Rainforest. Brian, who's the boss, plays fetch land for Bayou. Brian fetches up a Bayou, and there's Inquisition for Korey. And I think this is pretty key. You can strip Stoneforge Mystic just like we used to see in Standard. You can strip numerous other important cards. Swords, you can check and see if your Dark Depths is safe to go through. Get counter magic, counter spell. Looks like Korey is fetching in response though. Might see a Brainstorm. That is the one big difference in Legacy, is that you can pay 1 and then suddenly you can put your 2 most important cards back on top, and with a card like Inquisition, you might not even leave any targets left to hit. So, see what happens. Yep, and there's the Brainstorm from Korey Fay. Mental Misstep from Brian Boss, going to put an end to that nonsense. Who's the boss, he asks. Who is the boss? And flops down a hand of Tundra, Mishra's Factory, Swords of Plowshares, Spell Snare, and Jace the Mind Sculptor. Meaning he has to choose between Swords and Spell Snare. Takes the Snare. Now, I think that might be a little telling about his hand. It's possible that Brian has a 2-drop he really wants to resolve. Ooh, Standstill. That could be a problem for Brian Boss. He's going to just give Korey extra cards. He has to break it. Let's see. There's Wasteland. So Brian, despite taking that Spell Snare, does not break the Standstill on turn 2. I don't think Brian wants to play a longer game, though. It's possible that what Brian's plan is to break the Standstill with a discard spell. That way he can look over the 3 cards that Korey draws as well as the other cards in his hand and dismantle whatever his most important piece is. That's one strategy a lot of players have typically used against Standstill in the past, so we might see him breaking it with a Thoughtseize, or wait till he has double Thougtseize, double Inquisition in his hand. Korey plays another Mishra's Factory, serves in with the active one, and Brian takes the opportunity to Wasteland it. And down comes Horizon Canopy for Brian. And if Brian's plan is to Thoughtseize / Inquisition Korey, then he might be okay just taking a couple hits from that Mishra's Factory. And at this point, I'm pretty sure that's what Brian's plan is. Otherwise, he would have broken the Standstill by now. All right, passes back to Korey again. I'm sure he's going to slam in for 2 with that Factory again. Factory serves in for 2, dropping Brian down to 13 life. Plenty of life to play around with, a couple more turns to maybe assemble the hand he wants. Korey plays a Flooded Strand.
Magic players in the second draft open.
Brian passes back. Brian's sitting at 13, Korey at 19. That Standstill preventing Brian from doing anything unless he wants Korey to draw 3 cards. The good old strategy with the land still half of the deck is you just put out Standstill, you can just serve with your Mishra's Factories, your man lands. Alright, now Brian I think has too many cards in his hand. 3, 6, 8 cards. I thought I saw 9 there for a second, but I presume that's not the case. So, alright, I think he's going to break it. Yep, there's the discard spell. Thoughtseize, Korey draws 3 cards, so he's doing exactly what his plan ideally was. Now it's a matter of if Korey's just going to misstep his discard spells, if that Inquisition is even going to get anywhere, or that Thoughtseize is even going to get anywhere. Nope, resolved. So the hand he sees, oh my. Wasteland, Swords, Mystic, Click, Jace. What a hand. If you're Brian Boss here, that is a rough hand to choose from. I don't know exactly what's in Brian's hand. I don't know what you should take. But that is a very difficult hand to beat. Those Vendilion Clicks are going to mess up with Brian's game plan while simultaneously dealing damage. Stoneforge Mystic can find Batterskull. Swords of Plowshares can deal with the combo if Brian tries to assemble that. Yeah, man, that is a very rough grip for Brian to see. Alright, so he takes the Stoneforge Mystic. And then pays 2, going down to 8 off the Horizon Canopy. And it looks like he's going to cast a Tarmogoyf. Chooses to Life from the Loam. So he's going to loan back a couple lands. And now he has access to Wasteland and Marsh Flats. And he can play out the Wasteland if he wants. Yeah, Korey Fay's hand is just devastating. That discard spell did not yield good omens. click, click, Stoneforge Mystic, Jace, land, after discarding one Stoneforge Mystic. So if you're Korey Faye, your plan is probably to go untap Mystic with Vendilion Click untapped, or Vanilla Click mana up, and just administer the beatdown. All right, so Brian plays Mox Diamond, discards a land, taps the diamond, goes for another Thoughtseize, seeing the same cards.
That hand is a monster.
Yeah, that hand is pretty unbelievable.
Has to take the Stoneforge Mystic. And,
Yeah. And now Brian has the opportunity to wasteland that Nistrous Thatcher if he wants to.
She does. But, looks like, these Vendilion Clicks might just be enough given Brian's life total. Korey Faye has a Wasteland. Looks like he's thinking about whether he wants to play Jace, whether he wants to Vendilion Click. I don't know. I think that Jace is probably the right play here, but he chooses to Vendilion Click and just kind of crack down life totals here, make sure the game doesn't last much longer, because
Yeah, I like
life from the loam is the kind of thing that might want to be cycled a bit early.
Yeah, I like the click. You're just 2 combats away from killing Brian, and you could even get to peek at his hand and get rid of anything that could be a problem. And if he kills your first click, you just have the second click, which will come right down. So
Sure. It just seems like Jace is really good against Brian playing, some Knight and like getting Maze of Ith into play.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess you can just play the Jace after the follow-up.
Yeah.
Brian does that.
exactly. Brian can do whatever this turn. Korey goes end step Vendilion Click, then untaps, plays Jace, bounces, whatever Brian does.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't really need to brainstorm his hands. All the best cards anyways.
Yeah. So it looks like Brian's maybe going to deploy a Tarmogoyf here.
Looked like he had another life from the loam. Hexmage.
Hexmage. All right. 2-1. Can deal with 2 and first striker. All right. Passes back. Korey Faye is going to drop a Vendilion Click here. Separate his mana strangely, but I think that still means he's going to Vendilion Click unless he's thinking about Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, there's the click.
Probably just want to look before you swords anyways. He's looks like Mental Misstep, Life from the Loam, and Tarmogoyf.
All right, keep him. That's not what Korey Faye said, but I would do that. I'd just say keep him. I mean, those cards are not threatening at all.
They do not interact very well.
And all you have to do is hit him twice with a click. So as long as he has this next draw step isn't a way to kill a click, you win this game.
I definitely just turned my head sideways to try and get rid of the glare too. Just let's see.
Oh yeah. Like, man, why can't I see past the glare on those cards?
Yeah. The only card out of those that you really might want to ship. Yeah, there's nothing really.
Yeah. So, and Korey's gonna take 2 here from that Hexmage. But
Yeah, I think Brian Boss is only out. There's an untapped Wasteland. I really don't know what his out is here.
I think his only out is drawing
Nope.
Dark Depths.
There's an untapped Wasteland that does not work.
And having Korey forget about his Wasteland.
Okay.
So he's gonna dredge Life from the Loam.
3 cards hit a Dark Depths. That does not look like it hit.
Nope.
And
Draws off the top.
looks like it's probably enough. Don't think that was a Dark Depths, and I don't think Korey.
Yeah, headed into Game 3.
Okay.
All
Game
right.
3.
Man, Korey Faye with a pretty sick run in the past couple days. Top 4 in the standard portion with his Jund deck. Now trying to poise himself to make top 8 of the legacy portion too.
What's his current record here?
I'll look it up, but their players are definitely either 5-1 or better.
Yeah.
They could be, or sorry, they're 4-1 or better. They could be 5-0. I'll find out for you in a second. In the meantime, do you think that Korey Faye will change his sideboarding plan now that he knows more Brian Boss's deck? Maybe he thinks that maybe doesn't have him.
I don't know. It's really hard to tell. It's not really. I think it's just going to vary too much from person to person.
All right, let's see where we are. And Korey Faye versus Brian Boss. Brian Boss is on table 4.
These are undefeateds, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are both undefeateds. Brian Boss sitting on table 4. I imagine at this point that is still an undefeated table.
Yep.
So, yeah, wow. So the winner of this match would go to be 6-0, and if Korey Fay wins, he's just a one match away from drawing into top 8.
Very
Making
close.
2 back-to-back top 8s out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was who was the last person to have done that? Was that Nick Spagnuolo? Just out of nowhere, basically.
Out of nowhere?
I guess Nick Spagnuolo had various other events, but
Yeah, I mean-
that was like his first Star City event was the back-to-back.
Not exactly sure who the last person was.
Yeah.
Korey Fay could do it today. We'll see. He has to win this match. He has to win this game, and then the match after it, of course.
Yeah.
Or, some combination of not losing 2 matches. Who do you think has the edge here after watching them play, though?
I think that on the play, Brian Boss might have the edge with all of the discard for the Stoneforge Mystics.
Oh, so it looks like Korey Fay is actually X1. So Brian Boss got paired down this round.
I see.
So they're sitting at table 4, but
Yeah.
not indicative.
I don't know, does that matter? Does it give you a bit more fire to get paired up, or is it a bit tilting to get paired down, or just regardless, doesn't matter?
I mean, it's just a game of Magic. You just want to win, right? Like, it doesn't matter. It's an open series. It doesn't matter if you get paired up or down. You're just not close to the top 8. You've got to crush your opponent if you want to win.
Yep.
So, let's see. So, man, I'm looking over these deck lists and the sideboards. Don't know how much. Yeah, I don't think these players really want to change too much going into Game 3 unless Korey started to figure out maybe him isn't in Brian's deck. I don't know if he boarded in Misdirection or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if you can board in Misdirection here. It seems like it only hits. I guess it hits Thoughtseize.
Yeah, you get hit all of his discard spells.
But, I mean, hitting Thoughtseize still puts you down some cards, so.
It gets Inquisition too, right?
Is Inquisition target player or an opponent?
I'm going to check right now. Target player. So you can send Inquisition spiraling back at its owner too.
Wow, so maybe he will just